I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night wherever you're watching this transmission. Thanks for joining, liking, and subscribing. And across the Commonwealth, we're seeing the same pattern as we've been connecting the dots across the Commonwealth all these years. And it is happening. Interest rate hikes are going in full swing, but they're not going up enough to hedge against inflation. And let's take a look at what's happening. There it is. Bank of Canada raises key interest rate for the 10th time since March 2022. We've been seeing this in Australia. We've been reporting this in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, and the United States of America. Ottawa, the Bank of Canada has raised its policy interest rate again, making the cost of borrowing more expensive. The 25 basis point hike brings banks' overnight rate to 5%, the highest it's been since 2001. In a monetary policy report, the Bank of Canada says the rate increase was necessary to help slow economic growth and reduce core inflation. Three-month rates of core inflation have been higher than the bank's expectation, hovering around 3.5% to 4% since September 2022. The stubbornness of the core inflation in Canada suggests that the inflation may be more persistent than originally thought. No, we were telling you this on here. The bank's monetary policy report states, since the Bank of Canada started raising rates in March 2022, they're kind of late to the party here, folks. Inflation has dropped from the peak of 8.1% last summer to 3.4%, and we were debunking this, kind of throwing out there that inflation was at 12 to 14%. We had double-digit inflation, right? Last summer to 3.4% in May. This is the 10th interest rate hike since March 2022. I could see this at 3.4% inflation if housing went down to American housing prices to we'll get to that in a second here. So while bank acknowledges inflation has been declining due to the falling energy prices, we'll be paying more in energy. So easing and a new carbon tax, easing supply constraints and interest rate hikes, it predicts inflation will remain elevated around 3% over the next year. The bank says economic growth isn't slowing as quickly as expected, citing more momentum for demand and stronger than anticipated consumer spending in the first quarter of 2023. Now, we're seeing this in Australia. Australia's central bank holds rates, signal more rate hikes might be required. Again, they're nowhere near where it needs to be to hedge against inflation. So let's go to a shocking rate hike revelation that we did. Let's find out what we were saying here about rate hike revelation. This is kind of important, and that's me at the store. Let's take a look at what I was saying there.
Slaving us. All right, so to curb against current levels of double-digit inflation. Now, it's very important. So this is a follow-up from the video. So I did about 3 years ago. New Zealand needs to get in line with things. New Zealand needs to raise or have interest rates set at 8.4%. New Zealand. New Zealand tried to ban foreign investing 4 years ago, and there was always loopholes and stuff to people still kept coming in from mainland China mainly. And then in 2020, New Zealand started to see a lot of Hong Kongese coming into New Zealand and buying up real estate. So that caused a major issue. So New Zealand needs to raise its rates to 8.4%. Australia, 8.7%. Even though that foreign investing from China has retreated 2 years ago, Australia has done a lot of damage to its housing market, and it's done a lot of damage to government misspenditures and stuff, and we all know what's been happening there. And now they're getting sanctioned from China. Australia's being sanctioned from China, so a lot of people don't know that. So Australia, 8.7%. The United Kingdom, 9.9%. Wow, that's how far inflation is out of whack, or out of place, or misplaced. It's so hard to hide inflation in the UK that they need to raise rates to 9.9% just to curb it. Canada, 8.1%. And in the last video I did 3 years ago, I said Canada needs to raise rates to 6.1. Now it's 8.1% because nothing's been done about correcting or leaving markets on autopilot so they could crash on their own and reestablish on their own. But no, we need to pump in more and more laundered dirty money to keep this going for many years. And we know the Vancouver model here in Canada and how much Canada's been dependent on foreign investing to keep its housing economy going, right? And the United States is a very interesting one, and I want to actually throw this out there about the United States because I've been having a tough time trying to figure out the angle on it, because I'm seeing the country more and more divided since the Biden selection. Not election. So I had to break it down between blue and red states in a way to make sense of it. So this took me a little bit of time, guys. So blue states, listen to this: New York, California, Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington State, to curb or to keep themselves in line with inflation, they need to raise rates to 11.7%. That's what I keep getting. So if someone else could kind of look at it and see what's going on in the blue states, but that's what's happening. Mass expenditures, 5-6 layers of government, all kinds of BS, and yeah. I know this is kind of bizarre, breaking down a country into two different. Yeah, it kind of brings you back to the 1800s and what happened in America. Why the South wanted nothing to do with the North. But anyways, and the red states, 5.9%, because wages are still within line in most red states to real estate. And
so wages are in line. So let's take a look at that, folks. And here it is, folks, for living in Canada. So when people see this in America, they're like, well, that's in the country. That's in the ghetto. That's off a Loisy interstate. Oh, that's look at that. Nobody wants to live there. But in Canada, in a bad area, a house like this in the city or outskirts of the city, a 9-bedroom, 5-bathroom home is going to cost you in and around 1.72 million for the exact same house. In worse condition than this, though. And look at this. Just like crazy. Look at this, folks. Some of them are going to auction here with no money, but this is like a Canadian young family dream, to start a family, buy a home, and have a few children. And unfortunately, more and more of these homes are popping up all over the place. And, someone with a small business could run their business downstairs and have upstairs and have a storage in the back here. And a lot of people are telling me, yeah, but you can't insure those properties, Mike. If you have a $50,000 home, why would you want to pay $4,000 or $3,000 a year in premiums to insure a $50,000 home? Why? Well, but you can't get insurance on that. I don't care. $50,000 house? I'll rebuild another one next week. Who cares? And that's the problem we are facing here in Canada, because wages are not keeping up with incomes are not keeping up with housing prices in Canada. So I kind of focus here more on the red states here to show people living in Australia and in all different areas and in rural areas that there are other rural areas and big chunks of land that people are unloading, because money laundering is a big no-no in these states. Money laundering could reach a prison sentence anywhere from 5 to 15 years laundering money through real estate in some of these states. And I could just keep going here for hours and showing this to you guys. And you could pick and choose. You want brick, stucco, you want siding, you want frame, you want stone, whatever you want. You don't want to see snow again. You want it. You want 4 seasons. You want longer spring. You want summer all year round. The choice is there for you in America. And this is why I want to show Americans how good they have it in the United States. How good they have it, right? And, well, people are saying, well, Mike, you guys have free healthcare. No, we don't. We're paying through incredible amounts of taxation up here. Incredible. You have no idea how much we pay in tax up here. And not only that, I'm scared. I'm actually scared. I'm actually so scared to go to the hospital. I haven't been to the hospital since 2019. I've never been back. I've never got checked out. And that's Canada for you. So I'm actually petrified to go to the hospital. I even made a video about that with you guys, about how I am scared to go to the hospital. And there's our rate hikes here we've been predicting. I was just trying to call Steve the plumber, but he seems to be busy. So here it is. Another interest rate hike. Canada in serious trouble. You guys have no idea what's coming. rate hikes, major rate hikes again. Screw you, Bank of Canada. Rates need to go to 9% or inflation is not tamed. And big prediction video from almost 5 years ago. Interest rates are headed to 9% by 2022. Must watch or inflation will creep up and people won't be able to buy food. And there it is right there. The Great Canadian Economic Housing Tsunami to affect everyone. GDP prop to housing. California. I keep calling Canada California. And Toronto is dying. One bedroom in Toronto now costs $2,500 a month. And then when $2,500 a month Canadian, that's like $1,750 American. And a mortgage on this property here would probably cost you $200 a month on a 25-year amortization. So that's the problem we're facing here, where home ownership is out of reach by the Canadian proper, people born, raised, and educated in Canada. All right, guys, I tried to get Steve on, but he's not picking up. No worries. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Another rate hike in Canada. We ain't seen nothing yet. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Oh, people keep asking about Mike in the Night. Here it is, folks. If you guys want to come on Mike in the Night, we are on Rumble and Odyssey, sometimes Odyssey, but there's Rumble right there. Episode 512, Japan Fukushima disaster ahead, Guillain-Barré syndrome outbreak, The Sound of Freedom movie, Canadians $200 away from going broke, major freight issues across North America. So if you guys want to see that, there it is right there from Mike in the Night. If you guys want to go on to Rumble, there's a bit of swearing on it, and it's more of an adult themed show. And if you guys want to be part and like and subscribe, you could find us at realmikemartins.com. realmikemartins.com, where you can find back shows of Mike in the Night. You can add me on Skype and all kinds of cool stuff and see all our legendary guests that called into the show over the years. And we try to keep this up to date on a daily basis. Add me on Skype here. Donate here. Do what you got to do, guys. Affordable legal help here. It's all here in front of you guys at realmikemartins.com. All right, guys. Thanks for liking, joining, subscribing, being part of the channel. Mike Martins here. I have spoken.